Happy Sunday, everyone. Welcome to today's live. We are going to be doing this fun Christmas cactus, but I have some ideas we can think up. If you're new here, welcome. If you're joining us again, thanks for coming back. We are going to turn this initial drawing that we've done before in my classes into a whole desert cacti decorated in Christmas. So if you want to do the simple drawing, follow along, you totally do that. If you want to take it up a notch, then join me to take it up a notch. So we are going to start by drawing the pot. However, I'm not going to do a pot because mine are going to be in the ground. So instead, I'm going to start with my first level of desert land, just a little line. You can draw any shaped pot you want, kind of a curved oblong shape with a rounded square underneath. Then we want to add our cacti in there. Now, you can do lots of different kinds of cacti. I don't know the names of all the cacti. I will hopefully eventually, because I'll be moving to Arizona in a few months. But for now, we're just going to draw this kind of cactus. Making sure to keep these arms a little bit further apart so that we can hang Christmas ornaments off of them without them kind of running into each other. Now, the top of our cactus is going to be erased, or you can just keep drawing it. It's a Santa cactus. It's going to be wearing a hat. So you get your basic shape down. And then we want to add the details of our cacti. So we want to add lines into it and little ornaments hanging off of it. But let's put our hat on first. Some kind of a brim. And a hat shape with a little poof ball at the end. For our lines, we're going to go straight down but slightly curved until we get to the middle, and then that one will go straight up and down. Same on here. So in the center, we'll do one that kind of goes straight down. The other ones will kind of curve off the edge and work their way around to the back side of the barrel of this arm. For the actual pokey X's shape, I wait and do that with my Sharpie at the end because otherwise you're just tracing a lot. So I want to add some little ornaments hanging off of this. So I'm going to add a little line, a little square, and then do a box. I cannot believe it is only 3 days until Christmas. We do actually have snow on the ground here in Michigan right now. Shocker. But it looks like it's going to be a warm all weekend. And we're going to have rain for Christmas instead of snow. A humbug, but that's okay. And that's kind of the basic deal with this Christmas cactus. But now we can take this up a notch and add more details. So I'm going to do another little cacti right here. This one I'll do, I think these are called paddle cacti. They kind of have like these little paddles that grow up off of each other. And they're all a little wonky. I think this one's going to end up with, what do we call that? Tangled Christmas lights on it. You can also add, I forgot, these little like flowers at the top of our cactus. You can also add these on the paddle one. I'm going to put it on there. It's Christmas. It's a nice way to add a little bit of red or pink into a desert drawing other than in the sky. And then I don't know what these are called. Like just a rounded cacti. He can be wearing a hat. Long stocking cap. And do the curve lines. And this looks like nothing right now, and that's okay. The glory in this is when we add all the little details. I'll do one more of these cacti, kind of back here a little smaller. So what is everyone doing to finish up their Christmas wish list, shopping list? What are you guys doing this Sunday afternoon? Well, in Michigan it's afternoon, I guess. In other areas it's still kind of morning. I love drawing cacti because, again, they're natural, so they're imperfect. My favorite thing about nature is that drawing it is all about just having fun. Okay, so I'm going to now take my Sharpie and start to add the details that make this picture the bomb. I'm going to start with adding snowflakes onto this little Santa hat here. Tis the season of overcommitted, but hopefully you're going to have some downtime to really enjoy Christmas and just your friends and family. Like that's the most important part. These lines I definitely like to do with my thin line pen. They're just strings. You could add little highlights into them. You could add patterns onto them. You can make it your own. I'll use my joy again. It's a good one to add in there. And then onto these little flower petals that are on the tippy top, I like to add just some little texture lines with my thin pen. It just gives it depth and detail that make it feel more real. And because I've got this little pin out, I'm going to do it now. I'm going to outline those, I think, in my thicker Sharpie, though they are kind of small. So I may end up coming back and doing these littler ones for sure with this little guy. But we'll see. All right, so this one I want to have like lights tangled around it. So I'm going to do like swirly little lines that come across. And twist it up. And another reason that I like to start in pencil and then add my pen on top is because when you're adding details like this, you have the basic shape of your object, but you can really like design the stuff into it. Like on this one, I'm going to add garland. And if I had done that in marker and then tried to go in on top and add the garland, it wouldn't have worked. I would have had areas that look like, oh, you added that on top. So using a pencil to kind of get your lay of the land is great. Always outline it, which also makes you a better artist. As you're outlining, your brain and your hand-eye coordination is really becoming better. Add some lights to this. I'm not going to add a lot of lights because just the tangles of the string kind of have that illusion. And I think when you color this guy, you could add a lot of just little dots of color in there. And this is still a cacti, so it doesn't have prickles. You can't have too many. It just gets a bunch. I think one of the things I'm most excited about moving to Arizona is having cacti around and mountains. Like I have lived near Lake Michigan my entire life. So going from ocean to desert, not ocean, lake to desert, it's going to be a whole different scape for my brain to see. And as an artist, I'm super stoked about that. It's a new muse. Okay, it looks like nothing yet. Okay. Now this one I want to do the little garland. And so I think it's just going to kind of wrap around. Anytime something goes around the outside edge, you're going to get these little curves around it. And then, because I don't want to just do lines, I'm going to do these little triangles. So it's like tinsel and garland versus having it be like just lines. Because lines in a marker would not be fun to color. How would you spell it? I'm skipping some spaces because my brain was definitely making a pattern if you look at the beginning here. And so I'm skipping spaces and then going back in and adding them so that they have to be kind of forced in a different direction. Sometimes you have to work around your own brain. As an ADHDer, I have to work with and around my brain a lot. But it's also a superpower, so I'll take it. It's like just a little fun. And then I can even like have a little ornament hanging down. I just don't want to get into my next piece of garland. Oh, it kind of looks like little eyes. It's awesome. I'd love to hear like what your Christmas traditions are. Our family, when we get together, there's a lot of us, and we have a lot of age range because of like my aunt and uncle, my cousins, and my cousins' kids and my kids. It's like a 10-year gap between the first and second set of kids, and it's just like a lot of age difference. So we will often pull out these coloring pages, and we will all just break down and start coloring. The guys, of course, are always watching the football or sports on TV. And we are just sitting at the table talking, coloring in like this meditative state, which I love. And I love how everyone like chooses a totally different coloring page and color scheme. I just like to see what people do. My favorite things about our gatherings is that we all enjoy being creative, even though we don't all feel like artists or creative. But I would like to argue that everybody's creative at heart. We're born creative. The stress of life takes the creativity out of us because we're told there's not time for being artistic and creative. But in reality, creativity is just taking two separate ideas and mixing them together, which is what business people do all the time. It is like the definition of entrepreneur. But that's a whole different argument and soapbox. So we don't get on that. So it's Kristen. On us. All right. Maybe on this hat, I'll have polka dots. If you love me for polka dots again, can't be sad when there are polka dots around. And then this one, so I've Tingle Lights, I've Garland. What if, yeah, it's hang some more ornaments. I likes the way like it adds distance in the background. Oh, happy accident. I accidentally had 2 lines, so there will be a second ornament hanging lower than that. I kind of like that idea. A little set. I like to sometimes leave some of my things empty on my drawings so that when other people are coloring them, they can go in and add more details too. All right, so before I do any more, I want to outline my cacti with the big pen so I can really see everything and how it's coming together. And I can decide add more or take away more. And by doing this kind of in steps like this, I'm like establishing a foreground, a midground, and then I can always go in and add a background, knowing that these are in front, so it doesn't matter. Like this is what I want closest to me. So sometimes I do work in layers. And I like to add lots of little like zigzaggy lines around there because I think it adds interest. The lines and indentations of the cacti, I'm going to actually wait and do with my center pen. Um, but I wanted to get the outlines in there first so I could kind of see how it's all coming together. I'm definitely a visual artist in that I have to look at it as I go and make decisions instead of just knowing exactly what I plan to do. I have a general idea. In fact, in my classes last week, we did a exercise where I took a drawing that we had done in the past that had nothing to do with Christmas, and I challenged my students to turn it into a Christmas drawing. And I showed them the technique of kind of doing like a little storyboard with concepts that you in different compositions and how helpful that can be when you're not really sure what you want to do, but you can kind of come up with a few different ideas and, you know, work them out in basic, just general shapes on a small piece of paper. And I do that, just I don't take the time to do it often enough because I'm just creating to create, not creating to make something specific most of the time. If I'm working on something specific, like for a commission, then I'll do a little bit more compositional work first. But otherwise, I just let it kind of come to its own. I feel like your eye kind of trains itself to figure that out. The ideas that these students came up with though were amazing. I love seeing everyone's imagination and creativity come to life. Like it's really true that imagination is your only limit. So this could be done after I add these lines and little X's, spikes, but you could also add mountains in the background, more tiny little um, cacti kind of in the background. You have desert animals. So I'm just outlining these and then adding little X's. You could do a third line across your X and give it kind of like 6 spikes. But sometimes that just gets busy, and this gives your brain the idea that, oh, it's got spikes, it's got paint. Don't touch. And I go on the edge too, even though you don't see all of it. That's okay. Just think about when you're standing next to a cactus and needles are coming from the side or the back. You're just seeing little edges of it. You're not going to see the whole actual needle. And try to offset your needles so that they're not all lined up in a straight line across it. And if you need to, like, just skip around and then go back in and fill it in because that will help your brain not sleep. And go down and fill in gaps. And that helps your brain not like overdo it with a straight line. We kind of have a natural cadence in our drawing where we keep things about the same distance apart, and it looks like we're making like a checkerboard. Oh, I've never heard this song. There are so many Christmas songs out there. Speaking of roll of dice, we also love to play spoons, which is not dice, but cards, or sneaks, some people call it. That has been a family favorite since my cousins and I were little kids. So now that we're all older, it's gotten a little bit more dangerous because you guys are stronger. You definitely bend spoons. On these paddle ones, I do the 6 spike because they don't have the indentation lines. So I just feel like it needs a little bit more to anchor it. So it's your drawing. You have the right to adapt and change however you see fit and what you want to see your picture become. It's the artist's liberties. Take them and be proud of what you do. And if you don't love it, do it again. Come back to draw. I think this hat just needs stripes. An old candy cane. Well, that'd be a fun thing to hang off your cacti too. Some candy canes hanging down. I know a lot of people put them on their trees. I'm not a fan of mint of any kind. My dentist folder actually says use cinnamon, not mint. I just don't love mint. But I'm not a big candy cane either. So I do love like the junk ones. I don't, my aunt always called it junk candy, but like Skittles and Airheads and Starburst flavors, the fruity flavors. I can do those. And candy canes, I don't love mint. It like almost burns on my tongue. I don't love the whole effervescent feel of like the hot and cold create. I don't like anything I can't control. Let's be real. That's what it's about. Is I can't control what it does to make it hot or cold on my tongue. Right. So that is your Christmas cacti in the desert. If you wanted to take it up a notch, now what I would do is I would go back to pencil, and because with a pencil I can go right over the top of what I've already done. So I can kind of like draw a mountain back here, and then I can go in and fill it in. So this is way in the background. I'm going to use my thin and just do the lines that are outside of my cacti. which, okay, right now it looks like absolutely nothing. We definitely have to add like a horizon line in there across the bottom of our mountains. Maybe just going back further. So it's looking a little more like a mountain. My other favorite thing to do with mountains is add these little scar lines. Make like a little wonky shape and add little lines. It gives it a lot of texture and shows like the different facets of the face of the mountain. So it doesn't look completely flat. You don't want to overdo it, but you also want to add enough that it feels like, okay, definitely something happening. You kind of have a flat top. You don't want them to always go like the same direction, but sometimes it's nice to add one or two that are like that and just kind of line up. So I can also then go back and just add these little like dark shadows of cacti that are back there to just show like how far back those mountains really are. And so you can do a lot of different things, but you decide. Be sure to tag us and share your picture. I can't wait to see what you do. Be sure before you let everything dry for a second and then go over it with your eraser and you'll get rid of all those pencil lines and you'll have a beautiful Christmas cacti deck. Hope you had fun. Come back and join us for our next stream. Bye, everyone.